In this video, we will be using Chrome's developer tools to capture WebSocket traffic between the client, which is the web browser here, and the server. So we're going to create a new app for this scenario. In your environment, it may not present on a new app. We may not need this for a new app, but in this scenario, we are. After we've opened the app, I'm going to press F12 on the keyboard on a Windows device and open up Chrome developer tools and do a refresh. The reason why a refresh is important is because you need to capture the WebSocket traffic before the upgrade of the socket to WebSockets. So it's often easier just to refresh the page. I've also shown a way to do this in the browser itself rather than using the keyboard. So let's go ahead and filter to the WebSocket traffic we have here and expand things a little bit so we can show the frame section, which is actually the request and response between the user and the server. The green is the request, the red part is the response. So let's go ahead and go to the script editor, and we'll be creating a new data connection and then doing a basic reload to show ways in which the client and the server interact. So this type of logging is helpful for a couple of scenarios. I won't list specific scenarios because this will change over time, but this type of logging can be helpful for specific types of issues customers run across. So if your technician asks you for this type of information, this is a video explaining how to do so. Additionally, this style of approach is also helpful for people that are doing implementation. So customers that don't have specific issues but are trying to implement integration against the engine. This is the literal API calls between the client and the engine. So this is helpful for you to inspect how the native hub does things so that you can implement it in your own code. So we're going to do a reload here and then go to the front end hub to show exactly how to inspect things on the front end, which is not dissimilar to the back end, but it's just another version. The front end capture is a bit more helpful if you're trying to do a mashup or some style of front end integration where you're connecting to the engine directly. So we've now gone to the hub, and we see here that once our socket upgrades to WebSockets, we are now getting some hits here. We'll go to the frames and inspect the traffic, and you see as we do things, there's a fair bit of traffic between the client and the server. We're going to create a bar chart here and add some dimensions and measures, make a visualization, and we'll get a fair bit more traffic here. So this style of capture is helpful if you're trying to do engine API calls and you can't quite get something to work as it does on the native hub, or you can't quite figure out the element you need to pass. This will allow you to inspect the actual structure of the object, and the object is represented in JSON from the engine's perspective. So this will allow you to inspect the properties of things and get a bit more detail so you can do your own implementation. And we can expand here to the exact response, and the important thing is to track match the green request with the red response by ID. So we have a specific request and response. And they're not necessarily request response. You can see here that there are jumps where we get a couple of requests, a couple of responses.